A respected EuroLeague scout arrived in Manila with a verdict already written. In a circulated report, he described Filipino defense as soft, tactically weak, and physically undersized. He believed local rotations were reactive, not disciplined. He believed rim protection was a liability. What he did not expect was that one night inside a packed arena would dismantle years of quiet condescension in 5 violent, unforgettable seconds. The scout worked for a prominent club competing in the EuroLeague, Europe's most demanding professional competition. His evaluations shaped contracts and careers. When excerpts of his assessment leaked online, they spread quickly across Philippine basketball circles. Players read the phrase structurally flawed interior coverage and said nothing publicly. They trained. They replayed those words in silence, turning each syllable into fuel. He argued that Filipino defensive schemes relied too heavily on help-side scrambling. According to him, they lacked elite rim deterrence. He cited European spacing, disciplined weak-side positioning, and vertical contest principles as superior standards. On paper, it sounded clinical, objective, but to the players who grew up defending cracked concrete courts and cramped barangay gyms, it felt like a dismissal of something deeper. When his visit to Manila was announced, it carried weight. He would sit courtside for a high-profile exhibition between a visiting European select team and the Philippines' top developmental prospects. For the scout, it was validation. For the locals, it was confrontation without words. No speeches, no social media rebuttals. Just 40 minutes of hardwood and truth. The arena filled early. Flags draped over railings. Students painted their cheeks. Former national players watched from VIP rows. The scout arrived with a slim laptop and a small team badge stitched neatly on his jacket. He shook hands politely, expression controlled. He was here to observe, not to be moved. His notebook already contained assumptions. The game opened exactly as he predicted. The European guards stretched the floor. Crisp ball movement. Sharp backdoor cuts. Within minutes, they attacked the paint with confidence. A two-hand finish over a rotating defender drew murmurs. The scout typed steadily, nodding slightly as if confirming a private thesis about structural weakness and late interior contests. Midway through the first quarter, the visiting center executed a high pick and roll. He rolled hard, received a pocket pass, and elevated cleanly. A local forward rotated late and fouled. 2 free throws. The scoreboard tilted. The European bench clapped in rhythm. Courtside, the scout underlined something. For a moment, it felt inevitable. But beneath the surface, something shifted. The Filipino defenders began communicating louder. Hands signaled coverage. Feet adjusted angles. Instead of overhelping, they baited penetration. They invited the drive but sealed the baseline. The crowd sensed it first. A different energy, not desperation. Precision, the kind built from hours of repetition in humid gyms where mistakes are corrected without mercy. The first block came quietly. A European wing sliced through the lane, expecting another uncontested finish. He rose strong. From the weak side, a local rim protector timed his leap perfectly. Palm at ball at its apex. The sound echoed. Not a foul, not a graze. A clean rejection that sent the ball into the second row. For a split second, the arena held its breath. Then it erupted. The scout stopped typing. He rewound the play in his mind. Good rotation, he thought. Good timing. An isolated effort. The European guard shook his head, surprised but composed. Play resumed. The next possession would not be so forgiving. The second block was harsher. A drive through contact. A confident Euro step. The attacker believed he had created separation. The same defender recovered from behind, exploding upward with frightening verticality. He pinned the ball against the backboard before it touched glass. The crowd roared louder. The scout's fingers hovered above his keyboard, unmoving. 2 possessions later, it happened again. A switch left a smaller guard isolated in the paint. The European forward smelled opportunity. He turned over his left shoulder, extended for a soft hook. From nowhere, another Filipino defender rotated across the lane and swatted the shot cleanly into the hands of a teammate. Fast break. Layup. Momentum flipped. Now the visitors force the issue. They attacked the rim deliberately, almost stubbornly, as if to disprove what was unfolding. The fourth block came in transition. A trailing European guard attempted a high-arcing finish off glass. The local center tracked him stride for stride and erased it midair, keeping the ball in play with surgical control. The fifth was the loudest. 5 consecutive defensive possessions. 5 rejections. On the final attempt, the visiting star rose for a powerful dunk, determined to end the sequence. The Filipino rim protector met him above the cylinder and rejected the ball downward with authority. It bounced toward half court. The arena shook. Courtside, the scout slowly closed his laptop, not in frustration, in disbelief. The verticality was textbook, the timing elite, the recovery speed undeniable. These were not reckless swats. They were disciplined reads. Anticipation rooted in instinct. For the first time that night, his expression shifted from analysis to humility. The European bench fell quiet. Their spacing tightened. Their drives became hesitant. Each penetration now carried doubt. The local defenders sensed it and pressed higher, cutting off angles before they formed. What began as a validation trip had transformed into a live correction. The crowd chanted with measured pride, not arrogance. By halftime, the numbers told a different story. The Philippines led in blocks decisively. Points in the paint swung. The earlier European dominance felt distant. The scouts scribbled new notes by hand. Explosive closeouts. Elite weak side timing. Underrated vertical contest discipline. The language softened. The certainty dissolved. In the third quarter, the visitors adjusted. They pulled up for mid-range shots instead of challenging the rim. That alone signaled respect. The Filipino defenders rotated without overcommitting, protecting space as much as the basket. It was no longer about proving strength. It was about maintaining control. The final minutes carried tension, but not chaos. Every European drive met a body, then a second, then hands above the cylinder. Even when shots went in, they were contested. Hard-earned. The scout watched without typing. His eyes followed footwork, angles, anticipation. Something fundamental in his evaluation had shifted. When the buzzer sounded, the scoreboard favored the home side. The players embraced briefly before lining up for handshakes. The scout stood and applauded softly. Cameras caught it. Social media would later freeze that frame, not as humiliation, as acknowledgement. The press conference room felt smaller than usual. Reporters referenced the earlier report that described Filipino defense as weak. The scout adjusted his microphone. He did not deflect. He did not blame context. He spoke carefully. I underestimated their recovery speed, he said, and I misjudged their interior instincts. What I saw tonight was elite timing and disciplined verticality. The room went still. He continued, admitting that statistics alone had shaped his perception. Live competition had corrected it. He acknowledged the 5 consecutive blocks directly. That sequence changed the rhythm of the game, he admitted. It wasn't luck. It was anticipation and courage. His words traveled quickly across headlines and feeds. But inside the room, they felt measured and sincere. For the players, the apology mattered less than the performance. They had not aimed to embarrass. They had aimed to defend. The sequence became replayed from multiple angles. Analysts broke down foot placement and launch timing. What looked emotional was in fact deeply technical. Within days, international scouts requested additional footage. Agencies reached out quietly. Conversations about defensive upside replaced outdated assumptions. The 5-block stretch became a reference point in discussions about global athletic standards. In the broader 2026 basketball landscape, where analytics dominate and scouting reports travel instantly, this moment served as recalibration. It reminded observers that numbers without context can miss heart, that instinct, sharpened by adversity, carries its own measurable value. Back in local gyms, younger players watched the sequence repeatedly. Coaches paused the clips at the moment of elevation. They emphasized patience, timing, trust, and rotations. The lesson was not about anger. It was about preparation meeting opportunity. The scout returned to Europe with revised notes. He recommended further evaluation of multiple prospects. He no longer described Filipino defense as structurally flawed. Instead, he wrote about explosive recovery and competitive resilience. The 5 blocks lasted seconds. Their impact lingered far longer. They dismantled a narrow narrative and replaced it with earned respect. No speeches were required. The rim itself delivered the message. On that night in Manila, tactics met grit, assumption met execution, and when the final rejection echoed through the arena, it was not just a shot that was denied. It was a stereotype. Quietly, decisively, Filipino humanity won.